About 10 minutes into this conversation, I had to stop my guest. He had said roughly 20 things I was still trying to catch, and we hadn't even got past Monday. He laughed and told me I would have to keep stopping him. I usually smooth that kind of thing out before an episode goes live, but not this time. David Ray Fullmer builds roofs in Hawaii. He also spent about a decade noticing something about the week. Not the year, not the quarter, the week. That Monday sits differently on people than Thursday does. That bad news always arrives on Friday, and that nobody has to be taught what day it is. Fair warning on the pace, and fair warning that I came in with a headache at about 40% of my energy, which is part of why I'm putting this out. This is David Ray Fullmer. All right, I am with David Ray Fullmer. Thanks for joining me today, sir, on the show.
Thanks for having me, Ray.
So who is David Ray Fullmer and what is his mission?
Well, my mission, the reason I'm on the planet Earth is to assist other human beings and absolutely shifting the way that they think. Because when that happens and they're able to get into their own unique rhythm, then they become refined in maximizing the talents that God gave them. So I know that's a long-winded, but it's really, really important. There's a lot of information out there. There's a lot of books, tapes, seminars. There's all these things that are great techniques and they're awesome. And it's great that we all can coach each other on how to live better. It's really cool how personal growth and mindset has developed over the years. But in reality, it's really stoic. I mean, it goes back thousands of years that high-level performers and incredible human beings, they thought in a certain way, but they were able to slow down and capture the rhythm of their life. Whereas today, there's so much noise. And between all the information that we see in a daily basis, our ancestors 100 years ago, they wouldn't have downloaded how much information our brains are downloading or had as many thoughts in years. It would, like, a year of their life is almost a couple days as ours. I've been trying to get down to the actual number, but it depends on how far you go back. If you want to get in trouble today, you pick up your phone, you can get in trouble. Doing anything, whether going to a party or whatever it might be. Whereas my great-great-great-grandfather, it was like, all right, we're going to go find a tavern. Let's get in the wagon. Let's hook up the wagon. Let's hook up the cattle, the oxen, or let's get on our horse. Oh, well, we've got a 3-day ride just to get to a gambling house and waste time. Right. And so, that goes for all different things, not just that aspect of life, but we've sped up the human condition so fast, and it's not a problem because your brain, the more information that it learns and downloads, the more it can learn and download. So it's that our brains are the same thing as the universe and space. It's just the bigger it gets, the bigger it can get. It's a trip. So
it really is.
Yeah. So in a nutshell, I've always been fascinated with this, and I had a gnarly, for me, childhood. I moved 29 times by the time I was 17, come from a family of 13 children. I was homeless when I was 15 years old for about a year and a half on the run. I was locked up 12 times, went to 4 different youth programs. I was in the state of Utah's correctional program. They were my legal guardian. So I was taken and put in youth corrections custody. But coming in lucky, I had a dad that was one of Stephen Covey's first handful of employees. And so as a young kid in the early 80s, I was cruising around in my dad's sports car up and down PCH, going to, seminars and listening to Jim Rohn and all these different things. And it had such an effect on me. And I didn't even know what I was listening to. I used to make fun. I was like, Dad, no, not that. I just want to listen to music as a young kid. But really being in these rooms with Fortune 500 CEOs, and, I always say I was probably stealing donuts and coffee in the back, but the vibration was there. I was there.
Yeah.
Right. I was in the room. And so when I went through all those challenges and I decided to make a change in my life, that's when I just, I've been an entrepreneur to heart. I've never had a real actual job longer than 30 days in the history of my life. I've always been
Wow.
self-employed since I was 14 years old. When I was, 14, 15, during that homeless period, I was stripping roofs, tar roofs for an old grizzly roofer named Kerry Segmiller, working for cash and,
Wow.
living under a bridge. And, yeah. And so through all that, when I went through some real heavy ups and downs, including bankruptcy, I was a multimillionaire by the time I was 28 and the economy was on fire. I got married. I'm sober. I got 2 kids. My wife's pregnant. I mean, I was racing motocross full time. I went to Russia and rode dirt bikes with KTM and raced in the Baja 1000 in 2007. And then out of nowhere, everyone's like, recession. I'm like, what's that? And I'm Captain Positive. So I'm like, dude, recession's
Yeah.
nothing. I got this. And so I lost everything and we had to decide what to do. So we moved to Hawaii. We had 2 houses in Hawaii and moved out there and there were some big key hinge points in my life that got me out of that depression. And just over the years of doing that and then finished out now, I mean, long running a few different businesses from a mortgage company, development company, and all these different things. My staple's been construction and roofing, and now I've done over $150 million in roofing. And
Wow.
yeah, so right now I operate 2 companies, a commercial roofing company out of Wiley, Texas, and then one here in Hawaii. I have about 150 employees and I do work in 18 states and I love it and just going away. But along that path, it took about a decade. I found out, which was really interesting, that all of us collectively, we all have our own different talents and things to offer to this human experience and to others, because the average person will affect 40,000 people in their lifetime. If you're above average, you're getting up there, but you have impact either for good or for worse. But at any rate, yeah, I through all that in that time, I realized, and this was a heavy realization, that you and I and everyone around us, since thousands of years, have experienced very similar emotions on each day of the week that pertaining to that day.
Yeah.
And this is proven. I mean, when do you get bad news? When do they give bad news? Friday.
Friday.
When do they try to ramrod some bill in the Senate?
Is it Friday? Yeah.
It's Friday.
Okay.
When do they fire everybody? Ryan?
Yeah.
When do you get fired? Friday. Why?
Wow.
Because there's a party. I'm going to a party. I'm going into the weekend. My dopamine is high. And if you think this is every day of the week, and I always thought it was Sunday, right? Sunday was the only important day to my family growing up in a strong Christian family. And my mom and dad had 13 kids. So there's 9 boys. So if you didn't wake up, you got a 16 ounce of high quality alkaline water in your face. And I mean, and I've got my,
at least it was high quality.
Yeah. It's my dad's got little man's disease. It was always high quality. And, and he's 5'3", 100 nothing, wet and wearing boots. And here's this little guy and he's got major little man's disease. I got diagnosed when I was 17 with little man's disease, but at any rate, it's get up, go to church. And, and I left the church, left the gospel until I was about 24 years old. And because that was ramrodded in me and I was always pissed. I was like, dude, what's up with this Sunday day is the only important day, really? And so that kind of got me the wheels spinning. And then over the duration of my career, and I started realizing these days, and then it really hit me when I found out more people have heart attacks from 8 a.m. to noon than on Monday than any other day. And I was like, wait a minute, because I'm already tripping on this weekly thing. And I was like, wait a minute, it didn't matter your ethnicity, your culture, where you're at in America. Like, no, Monday morning, I don't know, I'm on the planet Earth, get in traffic, bad phone call, dead. But it's Monday morning. And it just blew my brain. And then I was like, wow. So over a decade, I have different days of the week, but I was really listening to the whisper and what it was telling me. And then I figured it out. I just cracked a 7-day code that you can't forget. And it's the life rhythm that we are already all going through. And when teaching someone, they're already halfway there, because you ask them, what's today? Well, today's Thursday. You're halfway there. And the way human beings' brains articulate memory is we attach a brain track or an image that's embedded in our head, and we attach it to the new principle. So when they're teaching you, when you go to a seminar and they're teaching you 4 steps to this and 5 steps to that, that's great. But unless you're a good memorization guy and you repeat, it's really hard to retain. That's why we get so many people motivational speaking hopping. Man, I got so good on the weekend. I'm so motivated. And they're like, oh, well, what was that? And the next thing you know, they're like, oh, I need another seminar. I lasted about 7 days. I mean, how many New Year's resolutions last past February, right?
Yeah, I think like 3% or something.
Yeah. So I'm like, dude, this is incredible. And I don't have to it just came from the ether, the universe, God, however you want to call it. But it's been such a blessing. I instituted it into my company and had incredible growth and company culture. It works in a family setting, and me, my wife, and my 3 sons, we sit down on Thursday and write in our gratitude journals in the morning before everybody goes out as much as possible. And it's incredible. So in a nutshell, what I did is I took the 7 most important superhuman attributes. These are attributes of superhumans that have high level and achieved greatness. I examined their lives, because it's existing shelf space, right? You want to know how to bake a good cookie? Go ask the baker who bakes good cookies. You're not in the dark here. There's no excuse. It's not like someone can wake up and be like, oh, I'm a failure. Well,
David, you said about 20 things now that I've like, man, I'm trying to catch this. Okay.
Yeah, I know. And you got to stop me, Ryan, because I'm so high on this thing, dude. I'm gonna.
We'll just work backwards the best I can here. You said this a couple of times when you were talking. I listened to the whispers and I followed the whispers. What are the whispers?
So the whisper is this still small voice that's given to all man. So if you were to interview doctors, first responders, people that are in charge of people's lives, pilots. Say, did you ever make it like homie that landed the plane on the Hudson?
Yeah.
Who trained him to do that?
Yeah.
He had a whisper, split second. So the human intuition is what it is intuition. But when you have a job and people's lives rely on you, you learn intuition fast because your brain is saying, I have to know how to protect. The minute your brain, it's just like when you have affirmations and you say them out in the universe constantly, your subconscious mind is like a little computer, and it's like, it starts doing all this computing that you're not even knowing it's doing. So when you're a first responder, you're on heightened intuition mode. When you're looking at a body that's suffering and you're saying, I've got to save this life, the computer starts telling you and giving you that whisper. But the average everyday person, when do they tune out? So Whisper Wednesday is Wednesday. I go on a whisper walk. I get into an organic environment. I meditate and I listen to nothing. I listen to quiet nothing. And if you were to follow very stoic individuals, incredible human beings, you realize they had a lot of quiet time. And if you look at the screen time of the average human right now, they're just tuned in like electronically and stimulating and entertainment. And that's okay. But the everyday person can learn to listen to that intuition, the whisper. It is in all of us. So if I go through them quick, I mean, we can go in reverse. I mean, you want me to start on Monday and go through to Sunday?
Yeah, let's go through them. Okay. Either way, I'll let you start.
So Monday, I told you heart attacks. People are having heart attacks because they don't know why they're on earth. That's all that it is. They don't have their why figured out. My job, they're looking at their job as a job instead of a preparatory state to something better. They're looking at their traffic that they're in as a reason to be late, and not the fact that another 80% of the world's planet is on foot with no sneakers. And so their brains are warped with negativity. And so Monday is Motivation Monday. I wake up and read my why I'm on the planet. I listen to motivational tapes, but it's the charging of the battery. So you can't go from seminar to seminar and motivation every day. You'll just be a motivated idiot, not go anywhere. It's like you fuel your truck up with diesel and you're just sitting there in the parking lot with the diesel in there. It's like, okay, well, where are you going to go from here? So that's Monday. It's Motivation Monday. It's the most stressful day for the human experience. So what better day to combat it with, why am I here? It's bringing sword against sword, and iron sharpens iron. Okay.
So what's crazy here is that, so I'll just give you a little bit of background about why this podcast even exists is that, I was about 38, 39 years old, and I'm like, okay, I did the checklist. I did everything that, where is it? Where's the thing? And I just was like, I have no idea. I thought people were like, well, you're successful. I'm like, no, what does that mean? And so it's kind of started, I'm going to start talking to people about what success is. And so one of the things that happened to me, I used to have, just thinking about work was a nightmare to me. I used to hate Mondays, obviously, right? You're thinking, oh, here it comes. And Monday is now my favorite day of the week because I think it's because, and I haven't connected these things. I'm sort of doing this real time, David, but I think the whisper thing is important because that's what was happening is all of a sudden it was like, okay, I got this list done that the world gave me, but I don't really care about the list. And I'm being called somewhere else. And I don't know what it means to follow that. So I started doing that.
That's the whisper. And what happens is you've eclipsed into being superhuman. See, because you're a human developer. Right here, you run this show, you've put aside and said it's not the money I'm making, it's what I'm becoming. Once you step into the becoming zone and you listen to the whisper, you become superhuman. So you would be what I considered a superhuman or a black belt in life. You've passed the white belt stage,
Wow.
the blue belt, purple belt, brown belt. Now you're a black belt, and now you're tackling life, and you're enjoying doing what you're doing. Like, I know, Ryan, you would go and do this and talk and help others and not be paid.
Yeah.
And that's the greatest feeling in the world, is to be somewhere exactly where you know your talents exist. And so, yeah, you stepped in, but too many people have not yet been able to find that rhythm in their life. But yeah, so Motivation Monday it's key. It's so hard on so many humans. So
I just wanted to give you some context, David, about what, so I'm just not, so you knew who was listening on the other side a little bit, which is why I decided to interject there, because especially with the whispers and the Monday, it just was the right time. So I got Motivation Monday. Let's continue on. This is so interesting to me. I don't know this.
Okay. And so the average person has 60,000 thoughts a day. Okay. 80% of them are negative. This is a fact. Okay. So what you're telling me is everything I'm thinking, 80% of it's just like, yo, you can't, don't stop, can't. Why is that? Well, let's unpack it a little bit. The average kid by the age of 2 to the age of accountability has been told by their parents, stop that, don't touch that, don't do that, no, stop, no. And that's over 10,000 times. So the little kid's got a brain track, becomes an adult, wants to know where he's going, he has a dream. I want to start a company, an ice cream company. And what is they hear? The thousands of brain tracks.
No, yeah.
No, you can't. Stop that. No. Now, your parents are cool that you might have been walking in the street. No, stop. Don't. You know what I mean? Like, you got too much candy. And when I figured this out when my kids were little, I would literally sit on the floor in the grocery store when they were grabbing something they didn't want to, and I'd hold their hands and look at them eye level, and I would say, hey, let me show you something that's on the back of this candy. Do you see all those grams? Those are counted against you. So those are negative points for you. And they're like, what? But over time, my kids now, if I watch my 22-year-old son, he's very healthy conscious. He will flip a label over, because when they were little, I got on their level and explained, yes, you can eat this, but there's something better to eat. And I used to hand him a $100 bill. I said, you can have anything in this store. Just has to be God made and man packaged. Yeah. Can't be man made. So go get it. You have all the apples, right?
Yeah.
And so we have been trained as a culture and a people to doubt ourselves and to live in fear, and it's not going to work out. I just got to get a job and blah, blah, blah. And so Tuesday is the day of the avatar. And day of the avatar is the day I step outside of myself. God gave me 2 ears, 2 eyes, and 1 mouth. So zip this thing shut, and I just observe, right? And listen. And I listen to the thoughts that I'm having, and I correct them. And I say to myself, I'll be driving, I'll have a negative thought. I'm very avatarish. I'm listening to the thoughts that are coming. When it comes, I replace that, and I challenge that negative thought. Because you can't just go positive, positive, positive. You have to address the boogeyman. Like, say you're worried about a project going south, something bad is on the verge, it could happen. Okay. And then I unpack, if that happens, I'm going to do this, and this, and then I will be okay. Okay, I'm okay if that and then it doesn't, like, I filed bankruptcy, and then I was facing it again in 2016, and I was having major anxiety attacks, and I finally just like, all right, well, I survived last time. It didn't end up happening, but I was able to get my rhythm under control because I came up with a plan and I wrote down, okay, in the event I have to file bankruptcy, these are the steps I'm going to take to be able to still take care of my family and still pay off all my debts and all this stuff, right? And then it wasn't such a big boogeyman because I had a plan. And so it's the key is not to have all positive thoughts. The key is to eliminate negative. So that's tracking Tuesday. I'm tracking myself. Another thing is I track my communication with others, Ryan. I'm in a group of friends. How many story stealers do you know? I was with one last night. The guy's a legend, but he's a story stealer. I told him about my buddy that fell off a roof. This guy had an even better story. You know what I mean? And I sit back, I'm like, because I teach how to not be a story stealer, right? The one-upper is what my wife calls them.
Yeah.
But did you know if you're with a close friend and you one-up him in a group, did you know that subconsciously it hurts him and you grow further apart?
I didn't know that. I didn't know any science behind that, but it makes sense.
There's total science behind it. So Ryan's my friend. We're in a group. Ryan tells me a story about a wakeboarding accident. And I have one that's even more gnarly than Ryan's, right? I have learned to shut that off, acknowledge my friend's story. Don't tell the same story and make them feel less or you're better. And, it's a way that we make sure. And even when I'm communicating with people, am I talking too much? Am I not listening enough? Or I need to speak up, right? Harvard came out with a study, the number one salesperson in the planet, because everybody's in sales. Ryan, I'm selling myself to you. You're selling it to me, dude. I mean, I had to sell my wife. I don't know how I sold her on it. She was buying. I couldn't believe it. I didn't think she was buyer.
Yeah.
I don't know what ninja mind trick I pulled on her, but I pulled it off.
Something good.
And they'd say there were introverts and extroverts. What one was the top sale? And most 70% of people raise their hand and say, "Oh, it's an extrovert because they can talk to so many people." But the bottom line, it was neither. It was an introvert that knew when to speak up and an extrovert that knew when to shut up. So what is that? That's an ambivert.
Yeah.
Someone was able to be who they needed to be in the moment. So tracking Tuesday. Am I shutting up? Or am I overly getting excited and talking too much and not listening to the whisper? When to be quiet? Boom. So that's tracking Tuesday. It's a real accountability day for myself on all the spectrums, from finance to all those different things. It's a tracking day. I track myself, day of the avatar. If you were to sit in front of yourself as a judge in the mirror, what kind of honest conversation would you have about what's really going on? Mm-hmm. Right? Yeah. So that's Tuesday. We talked a little bit about Wednesday. That's Whisper Wednesday. The phone's off. I drove around yesterday. I got up 5 a.m. and I drove all over Maui, delivering materials for my guys. I had to go meet with a couple customers. Complete silence. Silence. I didn't listen to anything. I just sat there and felt the whisper, that spirit inside me. And I have so much going on right now. And it just felt so good to just be in a quiet space. I went surfing. I went and got my surfboard. The waves were small and terrible, and it didn't matter. I just paddled out and sat in the ocean and just listened to the water. And I was in an organic zone, and it's so healing for me. So that's Whisper Wednesday, the art of intuition. And then you ready for today, buddy? This is a heavy one, and I'm grateful that you brought me on your show today. I'm really grateful, Ryan, because it's Thankful Thursday. It's the day of gratitude. When's Thanksgiving? Right?
On Thursday, yeah.
It's Thursday. So we've already experienced this. And gratitude is such an army of lions that's led by a sheep will always be defeated by an army of sheep led by a lion. And the answer to that dichotomy is attitude. And attitude is harmonious and parallel with gratitude. Okay?
Yeah.
You are the sum of you're sitting around a bunch of pigeons. You know what I mean? Good minds, they discuss ideas. They don't talk about people. Did you hear about, you know what I mean? We all get ourselves in this trap because we feel so good. Oh, we're talking about them and we can avoid us.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
No, I want to be an eagle, dude. I'm going to spread my 6-foot wingspan and I'm up there. I only fly with eagles. I want to discuss ideas. I want to be on a podcast with Ryan and I want to talk about ideas, about life. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
So So that's Thankful Thursday. And then, so you're high on this gratitude. You're just like, you're getting closer to the weekend. It's easier to be grateful for everything. It's funny because you'll have some things fall apart on Thursday and it's crazy. And I just have to, like, one of my man lifts broke. I have 20 guys on a roof and I'm running at 45, like, it's crazy, like $4,500 an hour.
Yeah.
This job is, I'm on a big giant project and my burn rate is $4,500 an hour. And I've lost 3 hours today. So I had to rig pulley systems at a mill. And I just came over here, changed my shirt and I got on with you, but I fixed the problem. And I was just about to have a negative attitude. I was like, no, today's Thankful Thursday. And I started counting my blessings. It's like, wow, I have a car, I have a wife, I have kids, I have freedom, I have a beautiful company. Boom, boom, boom. What's money? What am I becoming? And it just, whoop, it was gone.
Yeah.
I was stoked. So that's Thankful Thursday. So now we're moving into Friday. We talked a little bit about that. Everybody gets I've had hundreds of employees. I've trained thousands of sales professionals.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, the day to have the bad conversation, it's always Friday.
Yeah.
If you had it on Monday, Ryan, you'd have people going postal.
Yeah. Yeah, you would. You. Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So what do you call Friday?
Forgiveness Friday. It's the hardest. I missed that. It's the hardest superhuman attribute. You're high on gratitude. You come into Friday and then you're like, you know what? I got to let it go. We talked about eagles. Eagles soar. They're not all dirty and down in the muck. Those are the pigeons. Yeah. You hurt my feelings. I can't, okay. Let it go. If Nelson Mandela can go to prison for 20 years and then have the pen, the purse, and the firepower to kill everyone that hurt him and his family, and he turns around and says, well, that's like drinking poison and hoping it kills my enemy. We are killing ourselves by not letting things go. I instituted this in my company, and I had an employee. He was a really, really good sales guy, and he was about 27 years old. He came to me on a Friday just weeping and tears, stopped me in the hallway. I get this big old bear hug from him. And he's like, Dave, I couldn't let go. And he's just like weepy. He could barely talk. And he said, my uncle did something to me when I was younger. And I've been holding on to it for like 18 years. And I hated him. And it took me to my third Friday. I couldn't do it. I couldn't hold on anymore, And I forgave him in a text. And I sent the text to my girlfriend. I didn't even send it to him yet, but just the fact that I was able to let it out. And I mean, this kid just excelled. His selling went up, and his joy, his happiness, everything. So forgiveness is a very, very powerful emotion, right? And 90% of the time, people don't even know how much you're suffering because of what they did to you. 60% of the time, people don't even know what they did to you.
Yeah.
So it's like, anyway, so that's Forgiveness Friday. Killer, one of my favorite days. And then going into Saturday, no one on their deathbed wishes they spent more time at the office. Ryan's not going to be sitting there, 96 years old, gray with a cane going, oh, dude, I want to do one more podcast. Just hook up the mic, honey. I just want one. I want to talk to one more crazy human. Yeah. It's not going to be, dude. You're going to surround your family and your kids and your cousins, and you're going to discuss memories. And those memories are going to be because of moments. And those moments are going to be because you made money. So I'm on a mission to make money so I can have moments. So in the end, me, my kids, my posterity, family, and friends, we have a crap ton of memories. The more money I make, the more exciting things I can do. Have you ever heard the term, oh, that guy's got FU money? Oh, yeah. No, not with Brother Fullmer. That's called, that guy's got love you money.
Love you money. Yeah, I love that.
See what I'm saying?
I love that. Yeah.
What's his impact? Oh, that dude's a billionaire. Oh, wow. I wonder how many mouths he can feed. I wonder how many people he can help. Right now, my company puts 2 free roofs on a family struggling in Hawaii every year. So 1% goes into a fund. We have a family right now in Honolulu that we're going to be doing. We have to reframe their whole house. They're on Hawaiian homelands, no insurance, no money, but a paid off house that's been in a family for 150 years. Well, people like that, we go and we hooey together a bunch of helpers and we go put roofs on. It's the best thing ever. It's incredible. So it's love you money. And we need to start remembering that before guys are like, oh, I got to go to the office. I got to go to the office. I got to go play golf with my buddies. And those memories are great, but we need to make sure that the legacy we're leaving, especially if we have families, like single, whatever, but if we're individuals that are responsible for others, we need to be making those memories and stop acting like we got to be, you're going to go on the grit and they're going to be like, dude, work out and work. I work 70 hours a week and blah, and freaking losing their mind. You know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah.
that's great, dude. But like, there's a way to get in rhythm, be super efficient, super effective, and absolutely have a good time. A wise man said 8 hours of sleep, 8 hours of work, and 8 hours of fun. You get into rhythm, dude. And anyway, so that's Satisfaction Saturday.
Yeah.
Making sure you're having fun, dude. Life is fun. Make sure you're having a blast, right?
Yeah.
And then coming into Sunday, I've been in jiu-jitsu for 15 years. And if you were to say, I'm a brown belt, I'm coming up on my black belt, and they were to say, Dave, you know what? What have you learned? What have you learned in jiu-jitsu? And I would say, I've learned to be humble. I've learned to check my ego. It was my prescription for my little man's disease. My little man's disease was healed right quick in the first couple years of whoop, whoop. You know what I mean? I'm tap dancing. Holy crap, that kid's 19. I'm 30 years old when I started. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, how does this little skinny 19-year-old kid, because I was a tough little sucker, and I was like, dude, this kid just picked me up, slammed me on my head and took my back. And next thing you know, I can't even breathe. I'm like, I'm going to die.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So too many times in life, we try to do this without a higher power and without God. So it's Supplication Sunday. I'm submitting. A man stands tallest on his knees. I'm tapping out to all the problems in life and saying, God, I can't do this without you. I recognize you in the universe. I recognize that you're all powerful, and I'm coming to you for guidance, love, and direction. And I meditate on that, and I have my own form of worship and whatever that is. But the greatest things ever accomplished were not for money. It was for a God, whether good or bad.
Yeah. Well, I don't think I've ever heard that point of view just worded straight out. I think I've had that thought before in a different way, but wow, that's wild. You're right.
Tap out, Ryan. It's time I'm going to tap dance this Sunday. I'm tapping, dude. I can't do it without you. I'm sorry. And go try. Anyone can try. But the dude that invented you, the God that created you, the heavens and the earth, the funny thing is plants, animals, bugs, everything will grow to its full potential. Everything. A tree will grow as tall as the water and sunlight it's given. And animals will just multiply and replenish as much food, nutrients, and that's it, right? Human beings, you and I are the only ones that are like, you know what? Yeah, I know it's mind over mattress, but I'm going to sleep in today and absolutely do nothing.
Yeah. True, I know. Yeah. Wow.
I know I got to get up early tomorrow, Ryan. I'm going to go drink a 12-pack.
Yeah.
You know, it's like we're the only ones that will willfully raise our hand and say, I'm going to be a loser.
Yeah.
Now, it might be because our subconscious is incorrect, but once we have extreme accountability and recognize anywhere I'm at, I'm perfectly there. It might not be a perfect situation for joy, but I'm perfectly where I'm at because I put myself here. You can't complain. Look in the mirror. I'm looking at myself. Dave, if stuff sucks, you made it suck.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's
B7, dude. It's a rhythm. You can't 28 days. You cannot forget it. It's hilarious. I go into the bank. Dave, it's Thankful Thursday. And each one of the tellers will tell me something they're grateful for. I haven't never taught them anything. They know all B7. I teach the youth in the correctional facilities. I donate, I go every Wednesday night and I teach these kids that are locked up. I've got 26 kids I work with. And the second time after I came in, it was I came into the facility, but I had to shift to a Thursday. I couldn't go on a Wednesday. I walk in and I was like, "What's up?" They jumped up cheering, and I was like, "What's today?" Thankful Thursday. When that happened, I had only been there my first one time. I mean, and of course they're locked up, so they don't really have anything to do. So maybe they get that a little bit of an edge. But the point of the matter is every human being that lives B7, they're already halfway there. There's nothing more to memorize other than the attribute and tag it to the day of the week. It is the easiest, the simplest, most powerful superhuman rhythm in personal development today. And it covers Stoicism. It covers Napoleon Hill, Jim Rohn. It covers Tony Robbins. All of them are all encompassed in that if you really break it down to the micro level.
So, David, what was the journey like for you to discover this, to start to put together the pieces that, wow, history backs this up, science is backing it up. And it's like, it just feels so natural as we sit here and talk about it now. It just makes a lot of sense. When did you start to put this together?
Well, like I said, it was a decade-long journey in my, where I was at in my career. But even when I realized that you're forged in those trenches of your life. So it was always in these really low lows and hard challenges in my life when I became strong. But I didn't realize it was not giving up that made me strong. And it was when I came out and looked back, I was actually grateful for the experience, right? There's an old saying, I need Judas to find Jesus.
I have not heard that either.
Just think about this. This is heavy stuff. Ryan, this is heavy stuff. The day you wake up and you call your greatest nemesis with tears in your eyes, say, thank you. I had 2 family members completely do something terrible to me. And I had a year of just complete pain and suffering because of what they did to me. I had to deal with financially and trust and bonding. It was completely broken, severed. And that was the year I wrote my book. And when I got to about October, and I'm living B7, and I was trying, it was the hardest year of living B7 of my life. And all the way down to the point when I went to go write my book, I went out to Bali, and I'm at the Uluwatu monkey temple over a 400-foot cliff, and the ocean's right here. And I go to start writing my book. I have to say it because I can't write because of my hand. I have real carpal tunnel from riding dirt bikes and construction. So I'm speaking my book in existence, and I got 100 monkeys just grabbing it. I'm like, dude, I flew all the way to the middle of nowhere to write. I've got my outline for my book. I'm ready to speak it into existence, God. And I got 100 freaking monkeys around me. This was the spot the whisper told me, Ryan. And I'm just like, oh. So I found 2 Balinese women selling tinklets about 20 feet from me. I went up to them and I said, hey, how much do you make in a day? With our broken, we were communicating. They told me, I said, okay, I want to hire you for 2 to 3 days. And I'm going to pay you to not sell anything. And I'm going to pay you better than you make on your best day. And that, they're excited. I mean, because American money to Balinese money is higher. So it wasn't like it was a ton of money, but it was such a blessing to them. It was a win-win. So I sat and spoke my book into existence from this B7 that I discovered. And I did it if I would look over my shoulder, they were literally whacking monkeys. I don't know what the monkeys wanted with me, maybe because I'm a monkey myself, but they were after my bag and me, and it's literally in the storm I wrote my book, literally on a cliff surrounded by 150 angry monkeys. And that's where we're built. So too many times we're like, oh, I love Jesus. I love Jesus. I love Jesus. I love the good times. I love it. Life's good. But do you love Judas? Would you take Judas in your arms? Say, I forgive you. I love you. Thank you for betraying my king, because he became my king through that betrayal. And so I became myself through the betrayal. I became myself through the failure, because it doesn't define me. It's part of the journey. And once you live free of all that, then you start truly becoming. It's an insane transformation. It's insane. It's like, dude, I had a guy, I remember I had a guy that's like telling everybody in the industry, oh, you tell Fullmer I'm going to smash him. This big old army guy, another roofer, because I guess his sales guy jumped ship, came sold for me. So I'm going into supply houses, and this guy's like, everyone's like, dude, Dave, bro, you pissed him off so bad. This guy beats up everybody. It's kind of rugged out here in Hawaii on the north. I mean, you literally will have grown adults fighting. It's pretty interesting. The cops really don't do anything. It's crazy. It's the Wild West. So everyone's like, oh, Uncle Pete's coming after you. And I was like, what did I do? I was like, well, fine. Come, Uncle Pete, come. I finally get to practice my jujitsu. But then my heart's like, something's not right here. And I got all this anger towards him. And by the time I went to the 3rd supply house, it's like, don't, Dave, you need to watch out for old Pete. And I'm like, oh, frick, this is real. Friday morning, I was like, you know what? I'm over this, dude. Pick up the phone. Pete. Yeah. Yo, what's up? Who's this? I was like, this is Dave Fullmer, FBC Roofing. Silent. He's like, what the hell do you want, boy? And I was like, I want to buy you a beer. Come figure out why you want to smash me and look at you eye to eye like a man and get to know you, because I think there might be some confusion. He's like, all right, my turf. I want to meet me in Kailua at this bar and I'll be there tomorrow. Boom. Go in there, had dinner, sat down with him. He found out what he thought wasn't true. He thought I had poached his sales guy. His sales guy reached out to me. His sales guy didn't even tell me he was working for Pete. I had no idea.
Yeah.
Right? All these misconceptions and everything. Comes to find out Pete's business is going under. He can't even afford his workers' comp. Here he sees me, as another competing roofing company. I left there. 30 days later, he called me, said, can I sell for you? He sold $1 million in business the next year.
Wow.
So if you're telling me it doesn't take forgiveness to build us, if it doesn't take true perspective instead of perception, then we would be, it's just not true. There's just so many lessons inside of this rhythm, and it's pretty heavy. So
I love that story, Dave. Thanks for sharing that. That's incredible. So B7, is it at this point, is it best described as a brand, as a book, as a program, or is it all of it?
Well, the book really explains the whole rhythm behind it. It kind of breaks down how to live it in a way. It's like a tutorial on it. But the brand itself is just like a movement. I don't want, my life is fine and I'm going to be exiting the roofing space. I have 3 sons and my wife, and we spend a ton of time together. My real goal behind it is to really make the work experience in offices and companies better, and in families better, and in the individual's life. So it's really, to me, it's like a movement. I really want as many people to just have a vast impact in this world. And if I can train people and just give them the gift of how to think and how to live with rhythm, they're going to make the music themselves. There's so much talent out there that's just buried, and there's so much talent and so many ideas that are sitting in cemeteries because no one took the time to really go for it. So my job, God, like I said, God saved me gazillions of light years to come to earth right now, discover his will, discover this rhythm, this song, this dance of life, give it to others, and let that just spread like wildfire. What are we becoming as a people? The average person alive has 4,098 grandmas and grandpas. You and I are probably 14th cousins. I've never met someone further than 14th cousin. Ryan and Dave are cousins. I can almost guarantee you. I'm really into family trees and all the, my posterity. I'm the David of the Ray of the David of the Edwin of the John of the Peter of Johann, who came from Germany in 1738 and founded Pennsylvania. I can track you down, Ryan. I can tell you your great grand. You know what I'm saying? We're connected.
Yeah. There's something that is true about that. I mean, David, I'll share with you my experience right now. I feel like, so before this conversation, I was starting to get a migraine, and I was like, you know what, maybe I want to make sure this is a good interview. I care about your time, as I said at the beginning, and the energy of this conversation, my headache is gone. I was a little bit tired too. I was like, man, I'm going to have to get out of here early tonight, and anyway, it's completely different. And so just me talking to you, just and I'm not sure, I'm never sure if this comes across in the video or the podcast or whatever, it's just you and me in here right now, right? I mean, we're talking to each other really, but I'm impacted. I'm completely sort of changed. The day I was having was no longer the day I was having because of what we talked about. So we might be connected and we might be 15th cousins, but what's showing up right now is that there's a connection with that. Because we connected over this, you completely have changed my sort of experience today. So it's Thankful Thursday. So I want to make sure and say I'm grateful for that, because I wasn't feeling great before this.
And this has happened so many times, and this is what I'm trying to say. And this is not just some developmental program I came up with, Ryan. It is so much heavier than that. It rings. No one really has this conversation with me. I had a guy, I was on a podcast 2 days ago. This guy's interviewed 200 people, 300 people. I can't remember what it is. He was like, this is the heaviest interview I've ever done. I mean, the whisper was so strong. It was crazy, the stuff he was he was coming up with because of this rhythm. And he was like, whoa, it all makes sense. It's just like when you have an epiphany. And once you examine the human condition and how we're all living on this 7-day hamster wheel, and you're like, whoa, all of a sudden, what I just said to you, your headaches, you're having a moment of clarity. It's like Neo and the bullet just came at Ryan and it
Yeah.
stopped and he grabbed it out of
Yeah.
the sky. You're no longer in the matrix. It's freedom. And so it's an amazing thing. And I don't want it to be about me. It's not about me. It's about the human rhythm. It's about us. I just
Yeah.
want us to impact humanity. I want to impact millions of lives. And to do that, I have to talk to a bunch of Ryans and a bunch of other people, because once I impact you, you're going to impact me, and you're going to impact 6 more, and the compounding interest behind that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's a movement, Ryan. And I'm telling you, there will come a time you're going to go, dude, I've been doing that for months. You're going to see it. It's coming. There's a wave coming of movement of this rhythm, this dance, this song called life. And it's going to change people and change the world.
One of the things that strikes me about this idea of B7 is the importance of rhythm. That's a key part of this. There's a different sort of theme for each day, which kind of represents that rhythm that you're talking about. What is so important about this rhythm?
Well, throughout your week, what you'll do is you'll have a really, really good day, and then it'll only be then eclipsed by a bad news and a bad moment. And so if you look at your life, it keeps going like this. And when you stay stoic and you have rhythm, you have the down day, but you combat it with these principles depending on which day it is. And you're able to not let the lows be so low and not be so high on the horse when things are good. So what happens when you're high on the hog, you've seen it, dude, nothing can go wrong. Oh, I'm on top of the world. I got that deal. I got money in the bank. And then you start to ignore what could happen, and not in a negative way, but your protective boundaries down. I don't know if you've noticed that when money's really, really, really tight, your protective boundaries, like, it's on
Yes.
level 9. But notice how you always spend a little bit too much when you got money around. You're like, geez, that went fast. Because your protective boundary. And so what it does, it takes those two and takes it when you're down and you have no money. You're like, that's okay. Money's coming around. I'm going to and it keeps your emotional state in the correct zone. So your decision making is better, and you time travel. You literally time travel. You make better decisions. You forge better relationships. You get to your goals faster, and stuff affects you way less. Because don't tell me worry doesn't work, Ryan. I worry about a lot of things that never happen.
Yeah.
That's an old joke of my dad's.
Yeah.
Don't tell me worry doesn't work,
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny because it's one of the things I was thinking of as I was sort of, taking what you said and using it as an overlay of my life, is that there is times like, you said, like Whisper Wednesday. I think that one of the things in my life is that I would skip a year's worth of Whisper Wednesdays. And then guess what? It was like, I would end relationships, or, just not be a great friend because I needed to take a large, I took all the Wednesdays, I took them all at once, and it makes so much sense to me now that if you have this, the rhythm is important, right? And maybe you referenced like 28 days of getting into this, that I could see how it would be difficult then, but I think that's another thing. And I remember talking to my brother about this. I think me and my brother have like ADHD in our family, and we would always talk about how we're concerned about our energy. Like if someone says, "Hey, what are you doing on Friday?" and it's Tuesday, we're going to be like, "What if I say yes to this and I don't have energy on Friday?" And then it just be, and it's like we're managing our energy. Is my point, really? Whatever the reason is. And I just realized now that there is, something that I've been asking for is, well, how do I keep everything even? And this seems to be the answer to that.
Yeah. And what I learned too, is just being very, very, very intentional and honest and straight. Like that question, I have guys that call me like, well, same thing. And I get that anxiety. Like, I don't want to hurt their feelings, but I don't know if I'm going to do it. And I don't know. So I say it exactly like that. Well, you know what, Bill? It's Tuesday. What I want you to do is check in with me on Thursday. I'm knee deep in it right now. Super grateful for you guys, inviting me out. I'm stoked. I'd actually love to go, but I don't want to commit 100% right now until you check in with me on Thursday because I got a lot going on. And then but sometimes we ignore text, right? We're like, I don't want to get back to, and then it just creates more cortisol. And actually, because you don't bury the email or get rid of the communication and get the answer out of you, your moral compass is affected because you've got 6 texts that you're supposed to answer, but you've just ignored them all. And now you're weighing down instead of being super intentional. Tracking Tuesdays, or Whisper Wednesday, I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to get this out of my zone. I'm going to answer quickly and I'm going to get it off my plate and be super just honest and whoop.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is the Personal Success Podcast. Like at this point, what does success look for you today? How do you define that?
Success for me would be not only to reach, the personally 5 million people that I'm trying to get B7 to, but the ultimate success is to just continue on the path of gaining these relationships with my 3 sons and my wife, is my family. No success in this world can account for a failure in the home. So my success is walking down a road with my wife and I, wrinkly as hell and ugly as hell and beautiful as amazing souls, right? Because you're going to get wrinkly and old. And I just want to make it across that finish line and hold my grandkids and build so many memories with them. And that's real success. Success in the business world, of course, I want love you money and I want to have an impact. And to do that, it takes resources, so I'm going to be working with correctional facilities of young men and young women across the country just to donate my time. So who's going to pay me? Well, I don't need to be paid because why? I'm going to do so good in my career. And when I exit where I'm at, that I don't have to ever work again. And everyone says, oh, you don't have to work again. Are you kidding me? I don't have to be tied down. I'm going to get more work done than I've ever got done before. I'm going to go and just spread it. And I'm going to take no script, no purse, and just put my little twig with my little thing of crackers. And I'm going to head off onto the highway. And I'm going to teach B7 and change lives. And the off time, I'm going to go motocrossing with my sons, traveling with my wife, and we want to travel the world. We have been. We've traveled tens of thousands of miles together as a family. So we travel quite a bit. So
Dave, you said no success outside the home is worth a failure inside the home.
Exactly.
When did you come to that place?
The pain I felt when my parents got divorced, 13 kids, and my dad unfortunately made some mistakes and my mom had to ask him to leave, and it was heavy. And seeing my family, everyone's fine now, but there's still a success there because everybody forgave each other and we all barbecue together and all hang out. So it's like, if you think failure is divorce, you're wrong. If you think failure in the home is divorce, you're dead wrong. If you think failure in the home, failure is giving up. Success is never giving up. I'm never giving up on my family. I'm never going to give up forgiving them. I'm never forgiving up trying to have moments with them. Do you see what I'm saying? So real success, it's like you could ask me, Dave, what is the end game? The end game is to never stop sharpening the sword, Ryan.
Yeah.
You're not getting out of this. And the minute you tell yourself, oh, once I get to the top of Everest, then there's just another mountain to climb. There's no end to it. You might as well just get used to it and say, you know what, Dave, what's success? My success is to just hit every failure, and push through it with enthusiasm and never give up till the day I give up the ghost. That is success.
Yeah.
Because then you're going to look back one day and you're going to be like, oh, look at everything I got done because I never quit. I got up. And it's that you're never getting off that wheel. You're never going to retire. What people, when they retire and do nothing, they die, in the average is 6 years later? Something like that, some crazy number. But I want to retire. Hey, sign me up. I want to be dead.
I want to be dead.
I want to be buried right over there.
Now, Dave is raising his hand. Pick me. I want to be dead. And
exactly. It's like, hell no. I'm going to work till I'm 90 years old. I'm like, dude, find me a flower garden. I'll be in the dirt, planting flowers.
Dave, if someone is hearing this episode and it were to change exactly one thing, what would you want for that one thing to be?
If someone was listening to this and there's one thing that they were going to change. It would be the way that they felt about themselves, like brutally honest. I would have them sit down and write down a real I am statement. Like, what does the superhuman superhero version of you look like? And how do you really feel about yourself? Because there's going to be two right here. And I'd have evaluate and say, you're reading the wrong script. Because the minute people act out against others and do negative things and steal or do dumb things, it's just a reflection of the way they feel about themselves. To change humanity, you have to change yourself first. You cannot act out anything beyond your own belief. So if you believe you're a piece of crap, what are you going to do? You're going to treat people like crap. So that's the starting step. It's like, well, if I want to start a business in this, or I want to just, right? So to avoid all that, and that's great, but the starting is complete brute honesty. Who are you? What are your talents? What are your fears? What are your weaknesses? I have to write out my weaknesses so I can stare right at them and say, okay, I need to combat that by not doing that over here. And it's just that real internal like conversation. And then you're in the game, because too many people are wounded on the sidelines. They're just like, I can't get in there, man. I can't, if I get the ball, I'm going to fumble. I can't catch. I can't snap the ball. They're not a part of the human team, right? They're just existing, or they're actually hurting people. And so people that hurt people are just hurting. It's just a reflection of what they're, right?
Yeah.
And we label too many people. Oh, that person's a jerk. Really? Well, a jerk exists inside of me. The weakness we see in others when we judge them is the weakness that exists in me. So I never say that guy's not an a-hole. Dude, the things that guy did are not good. The things that man did are not good. But he's a child of God. So when we shift our thinking, we start talking to ourselves that way. You know what? I don't want to be a person that does things like that. I want to be a person that does things like this. Instead of saying, I'm not good at memorizing people's names.
Yeah.
I'm going to say, I'm really good at memorizing people's names out loud. Say that 10 times before you go to a new party or you go hang out with people.
Yeah.
You're going to start memorizing names better. It's crazy, dude. It's just like, it's simple, it's deep, but at the same time, it's hard sometimes because people are just so hard on themselves. So yeah, that's definitely, I know that was a long-winded answer, but that's the way I would go.
So do you think if your dad was like, let's say that he was in the military instead of working for Covey, and you were hearing that message, do you think that you would be as pulled towards the B7 idea?
I don't have an answer to this. I just know that nothing happens to us. It happens for us, and nothing is by chance. But I think in an imaginary state, I would be somewhere similar to where I'm at. Maybe I wouldn't have gotten there as fast because it was a huge help, but definitely, I think it's a little innate in me to want to see people succeed. And when I was 12 years old, my grandpa told me, he says, David, you'll know you're successful when you're just as happy about someone else's success as your own.
Yeah.
And I never understood that until 20 years of business and watching people fail and succeed, and people stab other people in the back and steal money and all these different crazy, funny aspects of the matrix. And when I realized that, and I really started treating my employees, not for them to have what I have, because that's different. They're in a different position, but to love them where they're at and help them resonate with their true self and help them be the best at the job they're doing and go after their goals in the best way and capacity they can. I find so much joy in that. There's nothing better than watching someone be better at their job and life. It's incredible feeling.
Dave, what's a question you wish more people would ask you, but almost nobody does?
Geez, I've never even been asked that question. That's a good one, Ryan. Ask me that again.
What's a question that you wish more people would ask you, but almost nobody does?
That's a brain bender. I wish, I wish in the interviews people would ask me a little bit more about like my family dynamic, my growing up. Sometimes that's not many people get into that. I think the connection between siblings and what it's like to grow up with a family of 13 kids?
Well, let me just share with you my experience. I thought about this because I always tell everybody, oh, I came from a big family. Well, I had 5 little brothers. So it's not quite 13, you know? I think there's some key things that happen there. I mean, I was the oldest. So, I mean, one thing, I walked around for 20 years saying, hi, I'm Ryan. I'm never going to have kids. I already raised 5 kids, you know, and now 42 years old, bam, popped out twins.
You, Ryan, you stud.
I think I have my ideas about that, but now I'm curious because I almost was like, oh, wow. It was not that I was being competitive. I was like, I don't know what it's like to grow up with 12 brothers and sisters. So I don't know. How do you think that shaped everything for you?
Well, it teaches you community. And the reason I'd like people to ask that question is to understand, like, when I bring up the 4,098 grandmas and grandpas, people, they got to understand they're not an island to themselves. They're not, if you're an only child, it doesn't mean you can't understand the importance of community and who you hang out with and who you associate with and navigating personalities and relationships. It's so important to be superhuman and really get what you want out of life. You have to help others get what they want, because you can't just go and take. It'll never work. When you're in a big family, you learn to sacrifice what's yours for the better good of the cause. And that's what it is. And what is the cause? Well, the cause is the human experience. Well, what do I have to do that? I'm just me. I'm an only child. I don't even know who my parents were. I was adopted, blah, blah. No. You are still the same rock that I am when I'm thrown into the lake that's calm and still, and it leaves a ripple effect. And so usually people that grow up in big families have an innate ability to understand that because it was for the better good, right? And we need to sacrifice sometimes some of our time and our talents for building up the family. Well, some of the best community people have built cities and towns and communities. They sacrificed so much. The early settlers of this great country, you know, and my great grandma was hiding in a cave with an original copy of the Declaration of Independence, or 2 kids and a 480-year-old Bible, while German Hessians were around cutting people's heads off and doing all crazy stuff in their village. You know, and then her husband's over, was I forgot his position in the Revolutionary War, but he worked directly underneath Washington. I mean, it was crazy stuff. Him and his brother, they sacrificed everything. These guys, these people, our ancestors came, and it's in every world and every story of amazing human beings. They weren't all brothers and sisters, but they're brothers and sisters of this great thing called the human race. And so it's time to stop. I love culture. Don't get me wrong. It's not like I'm like, oh, we're a big melting pot, but we are spirit sons and daughters of God. We're all connected in that every decision I make and Ryan makes and you make, whoever's listening, affects everybody on the planet. That's the understanding. We're all in this together. And when you have that weight and responsibility and the whispers talking to you and you understand, wait a minute, what am I becoming when I make this decision? What is the ripple effect? What will this do to generations of people? Oh, that's so intense to think like that. Or yeah, start thinking like that, and you will subconsciously make amazing decisions. You'll be way happier. Your life will be more designed the way you want it to, and you'll live with joy and you'll never stop this amazing journey.
Mm-hmm. I think it's really beautiful that's not what I thought you meant by the family dynamic thing, but what you tied it to is the larger cultural piece. And I don't know that I thought about that for myself. Do I have a natural ability to sort of understand that I influence,
Well, you do, and you felt it, Ryan, because you said to me, you had that joke. Your subconscious mind let it out. Hey, I'm Ryan. I already raised 5 kids. I'm not going to have any more. There's a brain tract. It's innate inside you. Why? Because you sacrificed for your siblings. You helped raise them. Did you say no? No.
Yeah, I know.
You did it. You see what I'm saying? You lived it. You subconsciously just told me you were the community organizer.
I think too, I believe that, this started, these conversations that I have with people on this show started with, I'm not sure what this idea of success is, and I still believe, and this conversation I'll leave and I'll go talk to my partner, and it's like, I'm getting down to like the fundamental fulfillment for myself. And I don't know if it's connection or the fact that it's just like, this is the thing that I'm supposed to do. I'm not sure why, there's just that feeling behind this. And so,
and your feeling that you're experiencing, you're going to be able to go faster too. You're achieving what you want faster, meaning you have less cortisol and stress, less headwind. Does that make sense? Because your joy. Have you ever time traveled? Like, have you ever done something throughout the day and you enjoyed it so much that it was like you forgot to eat?
Oh, yeah. I mean, honestly, just about every day.
Talk about a flow state. Ryan's in the flow. He's superhuman. You see what I'm saying? It's just like, that's the thing with me. Like, I wake up and next thing you know, it's 3:00. I'm like, whoa, you guys want to go to lunch? It's not lunch yet. My guys are like, Dave, it's lunch. I'm like, dude, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I know that feeling. Well, this has been an incredible conversation. I've sort of transformed physically in this. Like, I just feel like, I don't know. I mean, it's funny how sometimes this does happen every once in a while. I just feel really connected with what you're doing here and the way that there's an authentic way that you're going about this, which, it's just like, hey man, this is just me. This is just who I am. And I just really, I love that. And it's been great to be present to you during this conversation. So where can people learn more about your work, David?
So Instagram handles just David Fullmer Official, DavidFullmer Official. And then, or you go to davidfullmer.com. And if you go on Instagram and just actually, you need to send me your email. I actually send out a free digital copy of my book. Ryan, I'll be mailing you a physical copy because I do. Everyone that has me on their show, I mail them a physical copy. So if you can get Julie your mailing address or anywhere you want me to send it. But yeah, that's where I'm at, davidfullmer.com. And I really enjoy like corporate trainings. I've navigated so many HR problems. It's not funny. I love to get this rhythm in the office. It's so funny because you have your leaders that are posting quotes and different things for the different themes of the week. And it just makes the mundane job more fun. And you start to understand that nothing you do, that you think that no one's watching is it's either a withdrawal or a deposit into the bank of the universe. Meaning I work at a job and I get there 30 minutes early and no one else does. And I always load the printer and no one else does. And and everyone's playing tick tack, tickety tick for tack.
Yeah.
Well, what I teach is every tick you tack, everything you do that you're not getting paid for is going straight into the bank of the universe and is preparing you for a better future. And I've proved it. It exists. No one can ever steal anything. You can't even have anything stolen. I had a few $1 million taken from me in one crack. Boom, $2 million gone, taken, gone.
Wow.
For something that I built. And down the road, I stayed stoic. Said, you know what? I love these individuals. It's not what I'm making. It's what I'm becoming. They don't understand exactly entirely what they're doing. They don't understand the gravity because of their maturity level. I'm just going to stay stoic. And it's multiply and replenished so much more. You're never going to lose anything. You can't lose anything except for your character and your choice and the way you think. You don't own anything. No one on their deathbed, you don't ever see a hearse pulling a boat and a bunch of gold. Where's that going? Oh, we're going to go bury it in his sepulcher full of treasure. No, the kids are taking it. Like, dude, I'm out of here.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And so once we realized that, it's like, boom, I turned the other cheek. I did the stoic thing. Cha-ching, bank of the universe. Cha-ching, bank of the universe. Oh, you're helping your boss and your supervisor hasn't added your hours and you feel like you've been doing a little bit more and not getting paid and you're worried about your job. Trust me, people are watching. Do really, really good, guys. Be so good at what you do and people are watching and you will always be paid back. You'll never lose anything. Not a penny, nothing.
David Ray Fullmer, this has been an excellent conversation. Thank you so much for your time and your wisdom today.
All right, brother. Aloha, Ryan. You're a legend.
There have been two things that I've been thinking about since we recorded. The first is the loud one. A man on a cliff in Bali paying 2 strangers to fight off monkeys so he can speak a book out loud, calling the guy who wants to fight him and offering to buy him a beer instead. The second is quieter, and it's the one that stayed. David said, if you think failure in the home is divorce, you're wrong. Failure is giving up, and that success, the real kind, is just never stopping. I've spent a while now asking people on this show what success actually is, mostly because I stopped believing the answer I was handed. David's version isn't an arrival. It's a refusal to quit on the people in front of him. That's a harder standard than most of the ones I've been offered, and I think it's the honest one. His book is Becoming 7, The Superhuman Rhythm. Everything to find him is in the show notes. If this one moves something, send it to the person you thought of while you were listening. I'll see you next week.